Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
Emma Loveheart is joining us. She is a home healer who works with clients all over the world using her spiritual connection to remotely clear energy from homes, bringing balance, peace and upliftment. Welcome to the show, Emma.
Hello, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's really lovely to have you with us. I read an article that Claudia Connell had written in the Daily Mail talking about her experiences of in her house, I think a Victorian house that she bought. And she said that things were constantly moving and she was losing things, and she knew that she'd seen something that was on the stairs and the next minute it was gone, and it just kept happening, and she was like, this doesn't make any sense. And she didn't believe in kind of spiritual things, but it was happening so often she knew that something must have been a bit strange, so she got in touch with you and you managed to clear her house for her.
I know, I still think, because I talked to her, I've spoken to her since I did that work, we've done a few articles since, and she still says, I still don't quite know how it happened, but it happened, and I'm so grateful. She says, I still don't quite believe it, but I'm so grateful.
Amazing. So tell us about what happened with you, because there was a life-changing moment when suddenly you realise you had this gift, because before that you weren't particularly spiritual.
No, that's absolutely right. And I think that's really important for me now working, because it brings a balance. So before I had this incredible premonition. I say incredible premonition because it was just on such a large scale, and a feeling I'd never felt before, experienced before. I'd never felt anything like that before. So it was one of those things, a little bit like Claudia Connell had to, say, to accept that something wasn't right in her house and that something needed to be done. For me, it was very similar with the premonition, that it was, this is so different to me worrying or just thinking about something, that I had to take action. And it was about me, it was about our family going on holiday, and I had a premonition of my daughter having an accident on that holiday. And I didn't say anything to anybody because I just thought it was my thoughts, my worries. It was a skiing holiday, so skiing is a dangerous sport. And it wasn't until that daughter, just a few days before we were going, we were sat around the table and I said, oh, isn't it exciting? We're going skiing soon, in a few days. And that daughter just burst into tears and just said, Mum, I don't want to go. I'm so scared. I think something bad's going to happen. You can imagine. I was like,
wow.
Yeah.
That's so weird. So she didn't go, did she?
Well, we didn't go, no. No, because it's one of those things, even though I was a complete skeptic, I didn't believe anything. I'd never had anything like that before. So for me, it wasn't, oh, I'm getting a message, this is what this is all about. It was just sort of, what is going on? But I thought, if we did go and something happened, how could I live with that?
Yeah.
I just don't know how I would, because I had very clear visions of her disabled, and she was alive, but she was... she couldn't move, she couldn't feed herself, and I kept seeing these visions of me looking after her as I don't know what it would be called, but it wasn't pleasant, so very frightening for me. So it was as soon as she said that, I thought, it's not just me.
Yeah.
That was quite comforting to know that. And then we cancelled. There's nowhere we could go. So,
wow, amazing.
But obviously that opened the doors for me.
Yeah.
What's just happened?
So how did you go from that to becoming a home healer?
I know. It's obviously been a journey, as it always is. I mean, life is a journey anyway, isn't it? With, bumps and good bits, and we're always sort of like finding our way through. But with this particular life, it was almost like it spoke to me. And once I accepted it and realised I could connect, I thought, oh, actually, this all makes sense to me. So in my soul, in myself, it all made sense. It didn't make sense in my logical head, but it made sense in my sort of intuition, my gut feel. And so I just started exploring, talking to people, reading books. I mean, I'd go into bookshops and to the sort of spiritual section, and then books were just sort of, I had a book actually fall off the shelf in front of me. I was like, oh, okay, I'm meant to read that book, am I? As it happened, I bought that book twice before I read it because I didn't realise I'd got it. And it's like, no, you do need to read this book, Emma. And actually that book was by a lady who's become a very good friend. So it was absolutely right. I read that book, learned lots, got in contact with this lady. She came and did a talk for me. I now do talks for her, and we work with, so yeah, you know how it unfolds as time goes on. But yeah, that was that. And then I just started doing some workshops, and then I just found that when I went to people's homes, I could suddenly sense energies that were in the house, which I'd never been able to before. And I'd say, there's a female standing over in that corner, a female spirit, or just things like this. And so that was the beginning of the connection to the homes, and it just went from there.
Because this just, for me, just seems like a step up from the idea of people, which everybody, I'm sure, will have experienced, the idea of going into a room and thinking, my goodness, you could cut the energy with a knife in here. Yeah. And people who aren't spiritual whatsoever will have said that or felt that. So I think everybody knows now that there is such a thing as energy, and you can feel that when going into a room. You can sense that maybe people have recently had an argument or whatever. You can sense tension and things like that without anybody saying anything. So I think that's thankfully well established and well understood now. So is this just sort of a level up from that, would you say?
I suppose so. I think you're absolutely right, though, saying that most people will have had some sort of experience, because I was an absolute skeptic before this. I hadn't had any experiences at all. So it's, like I said, that it brings balance for me because I understand both sides, and I'm not someone that's like an ex-smoker, that now gives grief to everybody that doesn't believe or anything like that. It's not like that. I totally get it. And I think it's just what fits with you and what you feel. That's what's most important. And I think if you do feel something and it makes you feel uncomfortable or it's affecting your life, then at least now people like me are saying about the work I can do. It means that there's someone you can go to, because quite often people come to me and they say, oh, thank goodness, I thought something was wrong, but I didn't know. And now you've confirmed it. And it's a relief for people. Because, I know when I first found out, I was so scared of saying what was happening to me because I didn't know what people would think of me.
Yeah. And what kind of reaction then have you had from friends and family? Because to be going from someone who wasn't spiritual to be suddenly doing this, I expect some people were a bit like, what? What do you mean? This is what you're doing?
What happened to Emma? Where's she gone? It was a bit interesting. I had a lot of friends who were already spiritual, but we never spoke about it because I wasn't on that page.
Yeah.
So they obviously came forward and said, oh, Emma, welcome, about time. I'm like, what? So I had a lot of friends supporting me. And then family were a bit difficult. The female members of my family were fine. The male members of my family were not. I don't know I don't know why that
just
would be.
Just a coincidence, of course.
Just a coincidence. They were very sort of, I think they panicked that they were going to lose me But I'm still the same me. I'm still here. I'm still the same person. I'm still the very practical Emma. I just have this ability to connect to energy.
Yeah.
Quite simply, that's all it really is. And it just came it came because I think I'd had nudges through life, but I'd never really listened. And it's just like, no, come on. This is not your path. We have a different agenda for you, so we need to wake you up.
I think some people maybe are scared by things that they don't understand and can't explain.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. And I mean, we all do that, don't we, to a degree. But then this is definitely out there. But there are so many people that understand what I'm talking about way more than what they would admit, because they're frightened of saying something because they fear people will ridicule them.
Yeah.
But I don't know anybody that I don't speak to anybody that doesn't have something, a story from when they were growing up or a friend's house or a family house. There's always something.
So obviously everybody has different issues and for different reasons, but what would you say your typical client would be if someone reaches out to you? What are they saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's usually around a bad feeling, usually since they've moved into a property. That's very common because they notice it then. There's a bad feeling, or there's just things keep going wrong, or it's just sudden bad luck, and there's illness in the family. It just sort of feels like everything is going wrong. Quite often people notice when they leave the house, they feel different when they're in the house. That's another common sign. So, and there's lots of reasons, but that's kind of it's usually someone feeling something not quite right, and I mean, they've decorated the house, they've renovated the house, and they've done all these good things and made it, put lots of love into the house, but still things are going wrong. So that's when they perhaps then, I don't know how they find me, but they must just search and just say, I don't know, negative energy or something in the home, and up I pop. But
yeah.
At least it's another solution.
And the interesting thing that, again, a lot of skeptics will think, well, how does that work? Is you don't need to go to these homes. You've got clients all over the world and it's all done remotely. So you don't need to even be there, which is amazing and sort of proves in a way that it's to do with energy.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, that's one of the things that comes up quite a bit. It's like, but how can you do this when you're not there?
Yes.
And because I get it, I understand it. Our logical brain will say you can't make a change unless you're physically present or physically doing something. And that's obviously how we mostly operate. But I'm not working with the physical space. I'm working with the energetic space. So in reality, it doesn't matter where I am, because I can connect to it, whether I'm 2 foot away or 200,000 miles away. So it doesn't really make any difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does. I can understand it takes a bit to get your head around.
And I suppose it's really difficult to explain logically what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think what I focus on is the results. So it doesn't actually matter what I'm doing in the background and what crazy stuff I'm doing in my head or whatever, because it's more about what happens, to the client, what results they're getting. So whatever they've come to me with, if I'm changing that, then brilliant. And I do it all the time. I think if I didn't have those results, I would start questioning myself. But because I keep getting results, and people then write to me and say, I don't know how you do it, Emma, but this has changed and this has changed. And I'm thinking secretly, I'm not sure how I do it either, but it works. So I'll just keep going.
Yeah, amazing. So is it something you only need to do once? I mean, what's the process like?
Yeah, so I do. When I'm clearing a home, everything I clear stays cleared. So it's usually just a one-stop thing. But sometimes energies can come back in through people or something. You could be bringing it back in, and then you might need to do an update clear. But it's never the big clear at the beginning. So the big clear at the beginning is the main thing, and that's where most of the results happen and where people feel the change.
Because that's an interesting one. You mentioned people bringing it back in. I imagine a lot of the time, well, not necessarily a lot of the time, but I imagine sometimes it can be people that need to be clear. People can be carrying bad energy for different reasons, and they can take that with them into different houses and shops and businesses wherever they go. How does that work?
Well, you can sense it, can't you, when you meet someone that's not of a good energy? You can just feel it, and it brings you down in the same way that if you meet someone that's a very high energy, and it makes you feel good, and you're just like, oh gosh, it was so nice, I bumped into so and so today. So we know that we can carry different energies, and obviously, if someone is at low energy, they just sort of drag everything down around them wherever they go. But I think those people have got lots of stuff that they're working on themselves, and when you get low, so into depression or whatever, then those negative energies are attracted to you, and it's sort of, I don't know what the word is really, but it's like a snowball effect. It kind of just keeps increasing, you know. So and that's difficult, and I get that.
So can you clear energies from people?
To a degree, yeah. I can clear anything, but if people keep bringing it back because of their own energy, then there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
That's like if, I'm vacuuming a mess and someone keeps putting the mess back, I can keep vacuuming it, but eventually I'll get fed up.
Yeah, no, for sure. So have you had any really weird requests, or are they all the same sort of thing?
No, not weird. I think I listen to what everyone says. So obviously there's different levels. Some people are very, very sensitive and they'll really feel things, and I respect what they say, and I'll look at all sorts of things. But no, I think everyone's got their own story, has their own little issues or whatever that they come to me. There's similarities, but then they've got their individual stories as well. And I am open to listening to whatever those stories are, because it's, if I can help, I will help. It's not rare that I can't, but it's not every time that I can help, but most of the time I can. And I'm very open and willing to help these people, because I think if they've got to that place where they're stuck, they don't know what else to do, then it's a real honour to be able to make a difference and do something about it.
And is it generally spirits that you're clearing, people who have died, who are still in the house, if you like, spiritually, or is it energy from somewhere or something else?
It's mostly spirits that are stuck. So most spirits will only be stuck because they're traumatized in some way. So either they didn't want to go when they left the physical world, or they're angry, or it's like an emotional, or they're grieving or something, then that can keep them stuck. So there's that. Some spirits are just nasty as spirits.
You froze for a second then. Sorry, you said some spirits are...
nasty were in spirits, but because they were nasty in life.
Right.
It just carries on.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. And have you ever come across poltergeists, when things like we see in the films are like objects are flying across the room and things like that?
Yeah, not quite as dramatic as that, but it can happen. So it's rare, but if the energy's strong enough, it can kind of cross the veil, so to speak. So it's on the other side in the spiritual world, but it can cross over. It's not that common. It's not quite as... So I keep freezing, do I? It's not quite as common as not as dramatic. I should imagine very scary if you're in that situation. You have that in your home. I've had people have pictures fly off the wall.
Gosh.
Things.
Yeah, very weird, definitely. Well, it's a fascinating story. It's amazing what you do. If people want to find out more information, they should definitely have a look on your website, which is homehealer.co.uk. Is that the best place to direct people to?
Absolutely spot on. Thank you. Yes.
Perfect. Emma Loveheart, I love your name as well. How beautiful to have a surname Loveheart.
Thank you.
So nice, so nice. Emma, thank you so much for joining us. Lovely to chat with you.
And you. Thank you. Have a good rest of the day.